Hi, I am Ginna Foster Cannon. I'm the Director of Cultural and Heritage Tourism with the Rutherford Chamber of Commerce, part of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And it is my pleasure to be here today, and thank you so much for welcoming me. So, how to be a tourist in your own town. First, be in the know. Where can you find out about the things that are happening? In Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, so much is happening that really you need to have, an up-to-date calendar. So there are things like this, which you have on your table, which is our visitor's guide, a very good standing idea of the resources, the phone numbers, everything that's happening. Parks and Rec, and as you well know, St. Clair Street is part of the Parks and Rec system. They have a great calendar of the different resources and sort of top things that are happening. So look at that. And then also look at different partners. The Center for the Arts, for example, puts out their calendar. And these resources are up all around town, whether that be in the library, on a bulletin board here, or online. I find that I look online because I'm much more organized in email and on Facebook than I am in my own life. So what should you do? Grab a family member or friend and go. Just be like, hey, let's just try this. Because all you need to do is sort of get out and have one experience, and I think you're going to be hooked. I know I am. And you get to see Murfreesboro from a new way, and then be prepared to be amazed. So here are some of the resources. The nice thing is I have printed out copies of the presentations and given you little promotional pens so you can take notes or just refer to it in the future. We have a calendar of events both on our website and on our Facebook page. They're separate, so you'll want to sort of look at both. Facebook, I find that a lot of our partners put their events up on Facebook. And so we will just like their things and it populates ours. Come over to the chamber. I don't know if you've been to our beautiful facility. We're on Medical Center. We have a full wall of brochures and we have lots of interpretation about the Civil War and other really important pieces of our history. So I welcome you to come in, and while you're there, call the front desk and I would love to come out and welcome you. When you see this, and it's done by the part of the state. So we go from West Tennessee to Middle to East Tennessee, to sort of directionally. I love when you find a little elegant solution like that. So grab a family member and go. My partner in crime is my daughter. So here are just some of the events that we have done together. Most Saturdays are the Richness of Rutherford. And my daughter and I will go to her basketball game and then spend, 3 to 5 hours doing different events. So this is the plein air paint out and cowboy gathering over the summer at Cannonsburg. Who knew you would pair painting outside and cowboys? I sure didn't, but it was fantastic. And I mean, how do you capture that experience? For me, I have the photo, I have the memories, and when I look at further research on, you look at children and will they be a lifelong learner? Will they be a lifelong supporter of history museums, symphonies, aquariums, zoos, et cetera, et cetera? You see that when they go as children, whether it be as a school group or with a grandparent or the parents, it makes a real difference. This is at the battlefield. We went to welcome the Rangers back after the shutdown. So that was a very emotional and exciting thing to see our partners back on the battlefield. And this was the skating at the fountains, the Winterfest. I don't know if you had a chance to go over there, but it was very fun. And particularly for Southerners, like my daughter, as she says, I'm the only true Southerner here in the family. I said, okay, it's true. To get on ice skates and to have that experience and the joy, and it's really tremendous. And to see the variety of things that you can do here in Murfreesboro. See Murfreesboro from a different perspective. This was the Borough Dash. So we got up at about 5:30 on Thanksgiving morning, and my daughter and I decided to do the Burro Dash. And so she had been doing cross country. And so I was dressed in cords and like a parka and like the big sunglasses because we're walking the 4 miles, right? No. She sees everyone running. So for the first mile and a half, she insists that we run. So I'm like sweating, pulling off layers. And then when we get almost to the square, she starts sort of like a classic runner. This is the worst thing ever. I have never had a worse experience. How could you have done this and that? So all around the square, she was complaining. But then by the end, she saw the finish line and she ran strong and she beat me. And now, I kid you not, she wears the shirt twice a week, proudly displaying like any real runner, I have had the best experience. And so I can't tell you the layers of history that our personal history and the history of the town and sort of the past, present, and future all come together with these different experiences and different events. And what a glorious day that was. And to be able to literally go down East Main, around the square, and then back out with those leaves, it was incredible. Be prepared to be amazed. Now, who knows that there is a dino museum here in Murfreesboro? Yes, it's wonderful. It's called Earth Experience, and it gets about 10,000 school children every year come and does programming. It's over near Mayday Brewery, if you know where that is. It's in sort of a light industry area. It is fabulous. It's a professor at MTSU, and they do a really good job. And they make jewelry on site. There is Trail of Tears history there. There are naturally fluorescent rocks. There are gems. There is the story of the red panda, which actually they think originated here in our part of the world, actually over in the Smokies. There is the story of the predators, the big saber tooth, and they tell that story of how and why the predators are called the predators, which was a bone was found in Nashville of the big saber tooth. But all of that, once again, fabulous. And once you go in and experience it, you will never think of Murfreesboro as quite the same. Some ideas of things to do. Heritage Center, MTSU. I did my graduate work at the Center for Historic Preservation, who runs the Heritage Center. So I spent quite a bit of time down there, and I have a real love of it. They have free tours of the square. Discover MTSU Arts. Has anybody heard of MTSU Arts? Raise your hand. It's their newest initiative, or one of the newer initiatives, and it's to bring all of the performing and visual arts together under one umbrella and to market them and to really promote it as community engagement. Very exciting, and I'll tell you more about that. There's the wedding dress exhibit over at Oaklands, and let me not forget to tell you that on Saturday there is Princess Day. So if you have little ones, call it kindergarten and under, I think. They dress in their princess dresses, and 5 and under get in free. All other tickets are $10. And you go in and you do crafts, and you see the wedding dresses, and I think it is quite a magical experience. So highly recommend that if you are free on Saturday. Your grandkids over at the Discovery Center and learn about the A in STEAM. For a long time, STEM was very popular: science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a newer initiative to bring the A in, which is the arts. And so they have an artist in residence, Abby Reish, which they just announced maybe 2 months ago. And they also have done a big project with We Are Tennessee, which is a big wall on the 2nd floor, and it was with the Murfreesboro laureates. What other? Celebrate Black History Month at Bradley Academy Museum and Cultural Center. Go on the Breezeway, and then absorb history at Stones River. So these are some of my new and old friends. I have known Lane for years, and she was the driving force behind the newest exhibit. It just opened up on Monday. It's called Stories from the Road. And The Heritage Center sits right on College Street, so it's one off the square. But that road has had a lot of different names, and so she tells the different layered history. And so first you have the Trail of Tears history, then you have Civil War, then you have the Dixie Highway, and then you have the Seward Air Force Base. All of the stories are told in different panels. Here's the Dixie Highway one. I'd done some work on the Green Book, which was the African American travel book during the Jim Crow segregation era. There's a beautiful mural in the back from Civil War. If you have a chance, I highly recommend checking it out. They've just opened up the space a lot. It's really attractive, and there's a great music exhibit too of what the fabulous concerts that have gone on at the Murphy Center. For somebody who just came to Murfreesboro in the last decade, I had no idea that there was such, like Elvis was there, and and it goes on and on. So really recommend checking that out. Take a tour of the free tour of the square. One of my favorite fun facts of the tour, which may not appeal to all of you, but I will tell you anyway, which is when you look at the wings that were put on in the sort of late 50s, 60s, these, to save money, they didn't use real bricks. These are painted faux bricks. And I just thought that was so fun that I have traveled around that square hundreds of times and never realized that those wings weren't actually sort of brick additions, but beautiful trompe l'oeil. Here, Main Street has put in some new flags. You may have seen the Christmas ones. Here's the one with the historic cupola, which is so beautiful. What else will you learn on that tour? Some of my favorite fun facts were the history of the Center for the Arts building, how it was a post office, how it was the library. And once again, to me, that is Murfreesboro. It is seeing the growing needs and the population, and you can see it reflected in the different the different buildings and how they're used. So this is MTSU Arts. So if you go to this website address, you can pull up their calendar events. I had my first experience at the Tucker Theater at MTSU's campus. I was worried about going to MTSU now that I no longer have the most precious commodity, which is one of those parking passes. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a ticket. But no, I did not get a ticket, and I was very happy to say that. We went to the Nashville Shakespeare Festival, had a short run at the Tucker Theater. And in addition to doing the public shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they had 3 days worth of matinees with school children in Rutherford County. Here are some pictures. This is the wedding dresses across the ages. Here's one of my favorite views, I think, of all of Murfreesboro, is the light that when you're on that Italianate porch and you look out and you're going down the driveway there. And when you start understanding the magnitude of how large the plantation was, and when you think about Northfield Street being the north field of the plantation, and it really just hits home of how the landscape and the names of the street come right back to Oaklands. Here's another beautiful view of the upstairs room, and I highly recommend taking a tour if you haven't. And they have a new head curator, John Lamb, who came from Bellmead Plantation, and his wife is the executive director of Sam Davis Home. So from a cultural and heritage perspective, we are very, very fortunate to have this very talented team working in our county. And as one of the tour guides said to me, oh, and I have to always keep on my toes, John, he likes to move things around. And so each time you go, you'll have a different experience. And because objects and placement beg different stories. And it makes you think about when you're there in the fall and you see it in mourning, they talk about what was it like for the death rituals at that time. You see the plants in the front, and you realize that to bring in tropical plants was a very big thing in the late 19th century? 18th century, 19th century, okay. So, Discovery Center. I go to a lot of special events. This one was taken at Halloween, and he was dressed up and driving the boat, which was the Clifford exhibit, which is a temporary exhibit that was really fabulous. This is Abby Reish, who just started about 2 weeks ago for her Artist in Residency program. She does weekly programs with children and then is also creating a permanent exhibit on one of the walls. This is the We Are Tennessee, which was funded by the Tennessee Arts Commission and spearheaded by the original laureate class. I don't know if you know that we have 3 different laureates in the arts in Murfreesboro. Poetry, which is Corey Wells, a painter, and Ginny Togray, and then we have a photographer. And the first one was Jessica Nelson, and now it's Gail. I can't think of Gail's last name, but he's really talented as well. And so what they did is talk to different people in the community and brought together pictures, stories, poetry, and art. And these different panels can be swapped out. And so, like with cultural heritage tourism, it is forever changing, past, present, and going into the future, and shows our diversity, and our diversity is really our strength. Here is Bradley Academy and Cultural Center. A fabulous building. They're doing a lot of great programming. And let me pull up. They work in very close conjunction. It is one of the Parks and Rec sites. I don't know if you knew that. And they work very closely with Patterson. And so on the 2nd, they had Black History, Past, Present, and Future. We all like that, apparently. And then they had the Triumph Awards. And then on February 24th, they have the Artist Night at the museum. It starts at 7 p.m. It's free. It's live music, spoken word, different styles of dance and art. And that's on a monthly basis. So once again, if you pull up one of these, you can find all of the great gems that are happening throughout the Parks and Rec world. A lot of my time has been spent on the arts, as I said, with the Rutherford Arts Alliance. And I said, oh, I'm involved. Well, I'm the vice chair, so I am very involved. And part of this is working with Parks and Rec. This is the Breezeway Restorative Trail. You may have been on it. It used to be called Gateway Island. And so the parking is at the West College Street trailhead. And so it's sort of behind the fountains. It's a 2-mile loop. And this was the first piece of public art they did there. It's by Michael Baggerly. And it has 6 different words. The concept was by a then Siegel High School student named Lauren Hughes back in 2013. And it says, imagine, home, progress, unite, community, and hope. And it was a community partnership between Murfreesboro, the local schools, and the MTSU Department of Art, where Michael is a professor, and he runs the gallery there as well. This is the newest installation. It's the yellow iris, native yellow iris weaving. So this is actually a fence. I don't know if you can tell that. And then little pieces of nylon have been woven and little things. And on each side of there's a yellow iris bed. So what the Restorative Trail is doing is bringing arts and wellness and health and nature sort of in harmony. And given that this used to be a site of a landfill, it's a really creative way for the town to change and to embrace both the past, present, and future. The CVB is very proud. We are right next to it. We have partnered with the Park Service, and so they're going to do a children's weaving station. So kids can get out there and they can try the weaving themselves. And on top of the little station is going to be a poem by Corey Wells, who's the poet laureate. And let me read it to you. In the wide open quiet, grasses and all the birds at their work, your heart unloosing this moment, bright flicker of wings. It is like a haiku, and she told me what it's called. Oh, it's called a Tonka, like Tonka trucks. So thank you for reminding me. So next, here is Stones River. Stones River gets, I think it's 500,000 visitors a year. And so a lot of people are locals and they bring their dogs, and there is a lot of walking along because it links up nicely with our Greenway trails. There's also lots of history, and this is the Wreaths Across America program. It's really beautiful. I highly recommend. The Stay and Play has some more information about some Black History Month programming that they're doing. And I highly recommend, particularly after the shutdown, to go out and support the local rangers and give them some love because they work so hard on all of our behalf. So what else? Here are some more ideas. We're not going to go into more detail, but I would be remiss not to mention them. One is a free thing at the Ransom Schoolhouse. The Rutherford County Historical Society meets for coffee every Saturday morning from 9 to 12, and they are the nicest bunch of people. And they often bring cookies, and so Lolly is forever. You know, we could go back to that, that schoolhouse place, get some more cookies. So highly recommend if you have an interest in history to go, and you'll really enjoy it. Taking a show at the Arts. I went to my first show about 3 weeks ago and then ended up buying season passes for the family because we enjoyed it so much. We stayed up much too late. It was wonderful. Be wowed at the Earth Experience. That's what I call the Dino Museum. It will blow your mind. Go to Miller Coliseum. They have a lot of great horse events, equine. There's, I understand they can roll out something on the floor, and then there's cheerleading competitions. There are big monster trucks. There is just the holidays by the Murfreesboro Junior League. There's the world's largest cedar bucket over at Cannonsburg. They also have a great gift shop. If you're looking to buy something locally sourced, very inexpensive and wonderful things. My little happies that I was giving out this year are I think they're $3 magnets that were hand painted by a local artist. So it's just sort of nice to be able to support the arts, support local, and also get a bit of a deal. It's not a bad combo. And then there is the bi-monthly Borough Art Crawl. And the next one is tomorrow night, 6 to 9. And if you go on their website or look in the Pulse, they have a full map. And the CVB is a very proud sponsor of that. Here is the Ransom Schoolhouse. They also have a very cool model. It was by a professor at MTSU. And you can go and see the square done out in model form. And there's trains that go around. It's not exactly to scale, but if you like that kind of thing, it'll blow your mind. I keep going back, oh my God. And they had it decked out for Christmas. So on the top of the cupola, they had snow and then Santa and his reindeer in his sleigh. And just, I love the heart that goes into all of this, which is people care deeply and they invest their time and their resources into making it special for everybody else. So by going, you are bringing more light to their lives as well. So it's a real win-win. Here is from the Newsies show that I went to. It was great. And then they have a free gallery with local artists. And so Parks and Recs helps to organize that. And about every 4 to 6 weeks, they swap it out. So there's always something new. They also just put in a concession stand. And they got, I don't know if you saw, a $75,000, somebody gave a huge gift. And so they were able to not only put in this concession stand and sell beer and wine and make some more money for the Center for the Arts, which we love, but they redid the outside facade and it looks wonderful. This is part of the Borough Arts Crawl. 24 artists came together to do these individual hearts. This is by Eric Snyder and the Snyder studio. He is also a professor at MTSU. This one is sitting, I don't know if you remember the big picture of the wall with the brochures. We sponsored one, so this one is sitting in the visitor center right now. And then the 24 hearts will be reassembled into a sculpture by Michael Baggerly, the one who did the Unity Community Unite. So it's very exciting. And that's by Ginny Cho Gray, the arts laureate. and that was part of the Borough Arts Crawl. I just want to thank you so much for sharing this hour with me, and really just being lovers of cultural and heritage tourism, and being fellow adventurers who want to go out, and you can be prepared to be amazed. Okay, thank you so much.